वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Premanandi Prabhupada. Reading from our family business. Rough beginnings. During the late 1960s and into the early 1970s, before there were ample books to distribute, ISKCON centers were typically impoverished. Devotees sold spiritual sky incense on the streets along with BTG. People were eager to buy the exotic smelling packs with the alluring picture of Krishna on the front. Many devotees sold packs of spiritual sky on the street and afterward, as a bonus, gave the buyer a BTG for free. Garga Muni continues. What really got the sales of BTG going in a big way was when we started selling packs of spiritual sky incense on the streets. We would offer a pack of incense and a BTG and ask for a donation. People would give a minimum $1 donation and sometimes they would even give $10. Leading with the packs of incense made distributing the BTGs easier because people were naturally attracted to the incense, but not necessarily at first to the teaching. In this way, spiritual sky became instrumental to the mass distribution of Greek teaching. Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jeva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki. So we continue our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, Text 15. Tan na Prabho Tvam Kukale Vararpitam Tvan Maya Yaham Mamatam Adokshaja Vindyama Yenasu Vayam Sudurvidam Videhi Yogam Tvai Na Swabhavam Iti. Tanna Prabho Tvam Kukalevararpitam Tvanmayayaham Mamatam Adokshaja Indyamayena Shuvayam Sudurvidam Vitehi Yogam Dvaina Swabhavam Iti. Tanna Prabho Tvam Kukalevararpitam Tvanmayayaham Mamatam Adokshaja Vindyamayena Shuvayam Sudurvidam Videhi Yogam Tvaina Swabhavam Iti. Tanna Prabho Tvam Kukalevararpitam Tvanmayayaham Mamatam Adokshaja Indyamayena Shuvayam Sudurvidam Videhi Yogam Tvaina Swabhavam Iti. प्रभुत्वं कुकलेवरार्पितम् त्वन्माययाहं ममतामदोक्ष्य च व्यामयेन वयं सुदुर्विदाम् विदेहि योगं त्वयि न स्वभावमिति तन्ना प्रभुत्वं कुकलेवरार्पितम् त्वन्माययाहं ममतामदोक्ष्य च व्यामयेन वयं सुदुर्विदाम् विदेहि योगं त्वयि न स्वभावमिति तन्ना प्रभुत्वं कुकलेवरार्पितम् तन्माययाहं ममतामदोक्ष्य च विद्यामयेन वयं सुदुर्विदाम् विदेहि योगं त्वयि न स्वभावमिति Please respond on word meanings. When would you want it to try? Were you wanting to try? Yes. तन्न प्रभो त्वां कुकलेवरार्पिताम् त्वन्माययाहं ममतामदोक्ष्य च विद्यामयेन वयं सुदुर्विदाम् विदेहि योगं त्वयि न स्वभावमिति तत् Therefore, na our Prabhu, O my Lord, Tvam, you, who Kalevarar Arpitam, invested in this bad body full of stool and urine. Tvat Mayaya, by your illusory energy. Aham Mamatam, the conception of I and mine. Adokshaja, O transcendence. Vindhyama, may give up. Yena, by which. Ashu, very soon. Vayam, we give. We, Vayam we. Sudurvidam, which is very difficult to give up. Videhi, please give. Yogam, the mystic process. Tvai, unto you. Na, our. Swabhavam, which is symptomized by a steady mind. Iti, thus. Translation. Therefore, O Lord, O Transcendence, kindly help us by giving us the power to execute Bhakti Yoga so that we can control our restless minds and fix them upon you. We are all infected by your illusory energy. Therefore, we are very attached to the body, which is full of stool and urine, and to anything related with the body. Except for devotional service, there is no way to give up this attachment. Therefore, kindly bestow upon us this benediction. Please respond to translation. Therefore, O Lord, O Transcendence, kindly help us by giving us the power to execute Bhakti Yoga so that we can control our restless minds and fix them upon you. We are all infected by your illusory energy. Therefore, we are very attached to the body, which is full of stool and urine, and to anything related with the body. Except for devotional service, there is no way to give up this attachment. Therefore, kindly bestow upon us this benediction. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuro. The perfect yoga system consists of always thinking of Krishna, always engaging in devotional service, always worshipping Krishna, and always offering obeisances unto Him. Unless we practice this yoga system, our illusory attachment for this bad body, which is full of stool and urine, is impossible to give up. The perfection of yoga consists of giving up attachment for this body and bodily relationships and transferring that attachment to Krishna. We are very attached to material enjoyment, but when we transfer that same attachment to Krishna, we traverse the path of liberation. One is to practice this yoga system and none other. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shiksha Purusha Prana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharihari Kripa Buddhirya Tamaha Prapadye Mukam Karoti Vacha Gangayate Girinya Kripatamam Bande Shri Gurudeta Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It is nothing but your sheer kindness for blessing me and allowing me this opportunity to take part in the overall the current predominant Yagya book marathon which is going on. Also, I feel very humbled to studying Srimad Bhagavatam amongst all you inspiring devotees. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and by your blessings, hopefully we can make this attempt to develop some bit of attachment towards the Lordship. What is that thing which separates materialist and spiritualist? How do we understand that someone is actually a spiritual practitioner and someone is not practicing spirituality for now's sake? So, yes, a few things, and one of which is predominantly attachment. Other few things could be lifestyle. Lifestyle is a very core segment in one's existence. And obviously, lifestyle is fueled by attachment, fueled by desires, fueled by our thought process, our understanding or definition of life. Based on that, we shape up our lifestyle, and based on that we choose the company, the set of people, and the things we want to, activities we want to engage in our life. So the thing which separates um, the spiritualist and say materialist, and the bridge between them which separates them, is the attachment. So spiritualists, they are trying to detach their attachment from matter, and materialists, they are so much in oblivion, so much in say ignorance, that it's such an irony that people would struggle even to understand that they are so much engrossed in matter and there's something beyond matter actually, or even their spiritual identity. So materialists would be very focused in this bodily identity, I, me, and mine, and spiritualists will be focused on the identity of the spirit. Who am I? Who? What is life all about? Huh? Why is there so much of suffering in this life? Why is there so much of inequality in life? What happens after death? All these questions and all will lead one towards spiritual inquest, as they say, where attachment say flows, or where energy flows. Um, um, that is where we progress as such. So if we are on this path, on this inquest for spiritual inquiry, then spiritual enlightenment shouldn't be far off as such, because there will be divine intervention in our life through our sincere efforts and all, and we can look into a bit higher subject matters of life. So the key differentiation, or one of the key differentiators between someone practicing spirituality and someone not practicing spirituality is attachment. Where do we want to put in our attachment? So we are not like stones. We are not. We might be stone-hearted, but we are not like stones. So we surely have got attachments in life. Someone might be a theist, or someone might be an atheist. But it doesn't matter. We all have attachments in our life. We all have priorities in our life. We all have this capacity to love and serve someone or the other. A theist would be loving God, say, and an atheist perhaps could be loving his non-devotion to God, or loving his his fixed up attitude in his belief that there is no existence of God. But we all cannot deny or give up this attachment. In Srimad Bhagavatam, throughout the glorification, the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna spread out in Srimad Bhagavatam, which naturally awakens our dormant love for Krishna, our dormant attachment for Krishna. And because of this practice of the ninefold processes in loving devotional service, gradually as one practices the various process of devotional service, he distances, he naturally gets rid of his bodily identification. It says in the purport, I, me, and mine. On the translation perhaps, but yeah, his bodily identification of life, I and me and mine. As Adokshaja Prabhu, I believe yesterday he was saying, right, that there comes a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto that this bodily identification, out of this bodily identification, people are kind of forced. People are forced, of the way the material nature is set up. People take in, okay, my name to be my identity, my place of birth to be my identity, my say community and all to be my identity, the places which I like and don't like, the events, sports, and everything and all. And this sort of mentality is not at all a saintly person's mentality. So we need to protect our attachment in life. Srimad Bhagavatam is all to give us that protection, that shelter, that guidance. That how do we value ourselves even more? How do we understand ourselves even more? And how can we actually bring in that real self-care, bring in that real self-sustainability by understanding our nature, our core nature. And everyone's nature, again, whosoever in any part of this of the globe or any part of the universe, we are uh, bound up by this bond of love and serve. None of us are immune to not loving or not serving. We all want to be in a loving relationship, and this is what Bhagavatam teaches us, that um, understand your position, understand your identity, and understand who do we belong to, the source of our existence. There's nothing in this world which doesn't have a cause. And through Vedic scriptures we understand that the supreme cause is Krishna. So who is our root cause as well, or who is our ultimate source? Who do we belong to? And when we understand who we belong to and we live in that relationship, then we can grow deeper and further in that relationship. There's a concept in geometry, concentric circle. What it means is like uh, or having one center. So if there is one common center, n number of circles, 100, 1000, 10,000 circles can be drawn around it. If the center is one. Well, anyway, a piece of paper or we can draw, say, 100 circles, but there is no surety that they won't cut each other. The only surety for drawing, say, 100, 10, 5, 5,000, 500,000, how many circles, and with this assurance that none of the circle will intersect each other, will cut each other, is only when they have the common center. Likewise, 8 billion something, or what, close to 8 billion or little above 8 billion, whatever the current human population is, just human population for now. How to ensure that there is world peace? How to ensure that there is world unity or universal brotherhood? When we find out who is the universal father, then only real universal brotherhood can come about. And not only for the human population, but for every living entity, insect, bird, beast, everyone. So this is what Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us. The world is actually looking for this only. So many demonstrations and protests, or so many nice charitable work as well going on, so much of efforts being put on from every sphere and corner and all is for what? For betterment, for good change, for revival. But this is the missing link. If we do not understand the source, and Prabhupada through his classes, through his teachings and all, helps us understand that if we find the source of our existence, or that, like the source of 10,000 circles having that common center. So who is that common center? Where is that common center? And the Vedic literature tells us about that common center, and then we can expand, we can grow from there. So a bit of faith is needed, a bit of association or good company, and a bit of exploration is needed. Krishna consciousness gives us this opportunity to explore a bit more in life. Before coming into Krishna consciousness, we all had our set of thoughts and all, everything. But there's no harm actually in spending time reading the literature, spending time with the practitioners, those who are practicing, or giving some time into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And for anything to happen, to bring about, a bit of time has to be invested. When we go in school and college and uni, we are taught some subject matters which often outdate, which often do not hold good. There's a person somewhere in York, he was writing a thesis on one of his PhD subject matter, and it took him a bit of a time to cover his paper. Then there was some family obligation or something, so he had to actually drop for a year or two, and then later on he resumed with his paper writing, and finally submitted his proposal, his thought and all. Overall, it took like about 4 or 5 years. But later, at the point of submission, his paper was not accepted. They said, sorry, we cannot take it. But why? I've given all the everything, references and everything. He said, well, this theory doesn't hold good now. So there's something new which has come up, so we won't be able to accept it. We cannot publish it and all. So this is the thing. But here, Bhagavatam Krishna consciousness teaches us to be sane and to understand where we can actually employ our attachment. So much of facilities, there's so many organizations and individual society level, so much of facilities is being done, but for what? For providing better physical comforts. Again, Krishna consciousness is not really against having some better physical comforts, as long as it helps ones in the practice of devotional service, as long as it helps ones in janayati ashu vairagyam, quickly developing detachment from matter and knowledge. So with knowledge, with the weapons of transcendental knowledge and with the weapon of detachment from matter, then one can quickly progress in attaining the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Otherwise, very difficult. Both are needed. Shishikorantai Mayapur Sashiki. So detachment from matter is needed, and also transcendental knowledge is also needed. Just one will not suffice. One just cannot say, okay, I read literature and all, and I'm developing knowledge, but evening time I'm not detaching myself, say, from sense gratification, or my lifestyle not bringing changes in my lifestyle. Or someone may not say, okay, I'm so detached that I do not have any attachment for study. I'm completely given up everything, I've renounced. So even that wouldn't work. Both has to be taken care of very nicely. And this is the first instruction, this is the first teaching, not instruction. So this is the first teaching, the science which Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita also, that you are not this body, you are spirit soul. Arjuna gives few reasons, 5 broad reasons for not fighting, all these reasons, and then finally he surrenders and says that Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam, and please tell me what is for my eternal long-term good, what is Shreyaskar for me, for my ultimate benefit. And he stops there then, and actually after surrendering also Arjuna says something, and then Krishna doesn't directly answer any of his question as such. Oh, question number 1, that's the answer. Question number 2, that's the answer. No. Krishna says, first of all, understand there was not a point in time where you did not exist, or I, or none of us, and neither of us will cease to be. And then Krishna says that you are not this body, none of us are this material body. We are all spirit souls. So if we understand our identity, only then we can function very appropriately in society, in our dealings. And this is material world. What we take to be true is the real cause of misery. Whatever we understand in material world is all binding us. Now this, so much of for this pampering the body only, so much to give physical comforts to the body, the looks, how we look and all, external appearance, how do I sound, my speech, how eloquent am I, my personality, how do I walk, all these things, how charitable am I, all such things and all. So all physical bodily identity related oriented, and these all are our sources of misery. But the Sarira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhan. what to do? We have to channelize or take use of this material body in order to attain Krishna. This body is like a vehicle for us to transport or into transcendence, into the realm of transcendence. So we need to take the best care of this body. How do we channelize this body? Otherwise, even medical science also understands what is inside this body: blood, mm, flesh, bones, bile, and mucus. Throughout Prabhupada exposed this to us. Otherwise, we were happily living in ignorance or miserably living in ignorance. Prabhupada's scientist disciple Dr. T.D. Singh, I think in University of California in organic chemistry he was studying. He asked his professor that, okay, uh, I give you all these constituents. I give you bones, blood, and all these elements needed. Can you produce me a human body? Can you produce life? That is what all needed. Like we can tell, right? Those who do computer assembling. Okay, I give you all these products and all. Can you assemble a computer for me? Or other musical instruments assembling and all. I bring you all these products. So the person would say that I need all these products. If you give this to me, I will assemble. Some wood furniture maker. Okay, I will do. So if someone gives is provided all these material ingredients, can one produce a human life? Can one produce a life? Can one produce a body? So what is this thing that driving us, driving the consciousness, or driving the energy? This is to be addressed, and then life can be shaped up on this. Okay, on this note, any question or comment or suggestion, please?
We try to accept their way of relating to Krishna and their way of trying to make advancement, and then try to help them, come up to a slightly higher level.
Well, I suppose things can be done. Krishna
Will be presented in outside of these two, being non-confrontational as well, and not surrendering or yielding to their beliefs or ideologies and thought process. Also, it depends who can challenge. Someone who is an authority actually can challenge as such, or back it up as such. So, for the general, say, the presentation of Krishna consciousness, the audience has to be checked, and the sanctity of the message is to be protected and given in a way that will encourage, appeal, or elevate one's consciousness to be raised, that one can take into the message of Krishna consciousness. Now, it doesn't always mean that, okay, one has to be very pampering and one has to be very flattering or agreeing to what the other person says. Sometimes, in order to shed light, darkness has to be caused for us to appreciate the light as well. So, it is not a Vaishnava etiquette to be confrontational. And at the same time, if someone is on the other side, if someone is finding faults or not agreeing or with the literature and all, or with the scriptures, then one has to present it in true fairness. So I suppose this is Adapshaja Prabhu's kindness. He's asking this not to. He's been doing Sankirtan for 40 years and presenting Krishna consciousness to people for 40 years. But it is his kindness that is letting me somewhat answer this. And so surely Prabhu doesn't need this answer, but this is for my own betterment and benefit. So largely also depends on our audience. Accordingly, we can kind of shift our presentation, say, but maintaining the sanctity of our real message. The mood is to help people understand Krishna consciousness and help again. Just like if someone is falling off, going in a wrong direction too fast, so one has to be caught up as well. Like someone drowning in ocean or in sea, then help doesn't mean okay, I softly catch his leg or something. If I have to apply some pressure to catch his leg and bring him to shore, then that has to be done as well. So simply challenging, but if I myself am not knowledgeable, wouldn't help. Confrontation, argument is not the etiquette of a Vaishnava, so that wouldn't help. And just yielding to someone's thoughts and all wouldn't help as well. So in Gita, Krishna gives amazing preaching points as well, tips as well, that you do not disturb those who are too much attached in their ignorance. Rather, maneuver them and give them some nice engagement and all, and raise their consciousness level. Otherwise, there would be more chaos. So does this somewhat address your question, Prabhu?
Social media as well. So they've mastered the art of attracting people in an entertaining way. And it seems now that more than ever the atmosphere is pervaded with this. People are attracted to, like, looking for the truth. They're just looking for something that's entertaining. So the books, the pictures, the covers on the books, how we speak about the books, is to draw people's senses in, to attract them, you know. And once they do become attracted, then they can progress from that. But that seems to be the initial platform. Is not challenging them so much or judging them, but in a very kind of joyful way, interacting with them and entertaining them. You know, so they become a little curious, a little fascinated.
Also, Krishna consciousness is naturally attractive as long as we abide by the scriptures, by the principles, and we do not deviate any iota bit from the scriptures. It is naturally attractive. So it is not like we have these wonderful paintings of Krishna in the temple room. So it's not someone's mundane imagination, okay, let me draw it this way, let me draw it that way, so that people will get attracted. Prabhupada, I believe, it said, right, that just to please the Americans, I wouldn't change the philosophy or I wouldn't compromise on the principles. So there was one instance, right, I don't know the details, but some devotee where I suppose painting Krishna and showing him having a nice body, bulky muscles and physique, and like as if going to gym and all, and heavy weights and lifting the Govardhan hill. So Prabhupada said, what is this? You don't need to draw Krishna like this, no. He doesn't need to go to gym or muscles to lift Govardhan hill. So the scriptures, especially Brahma Samhita, it gives a clear-cut description of Krishna, his mood, his personality, his opulence, his strength. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pasyanti panti kar chiram jaganti. So from all his senses, he can eat from his eyes, he can eat from his ears, he can listen from his eyes, and he can speak from his nose. So that's Krishna. All capable, all powerful. So someone who is all capable doesn't need to have muscles to lift Govardhan hill. And everything is within Krishna, this Govardhan hill and all. So this is why for Krishna there is no Maya. For Krishna there is no Maya. For Krishna everything is like a child's play. But for us, uh, mm, it's a different thing for us. So for Krishna there is nothing Maya, but it is the arrangement of Yoga Maya, the spiritual potency of Krishna, that she works out things in a way that Krishna appears to be in Maya. Krishna appears to be in Maya so that he can relish more of his pastimes and arrange that arrangement. Krishna is fully cognizant always. So the books, the pictures, like spiritual sky incense they were distributing, and the pictures and all. So it's not, or let us make it in a way to erect the, as they say, like this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, and Krishna consciousness is to let people know about the spiritual world, what the spiritual world is like. Now, spiritual world or any world, meaning there is some activity, there is some engagement. It's not like a um, you know, null and quiet and void sort of world. It's a world but no one living in here. It's a world but there is nothing happening in here. That is not the case. Yes. Next question: how can we maintain a healthy body without overly identifying with it? And yoga asanas can actually inflate. Well, uh, Maya is throughout. Maya doesn't really bother us or poke us until and unless we have not taken any spirituality. Then, if someone is not taking on any spirituality, what is the need for Maya to actually check someone or something? But it is only when one starts taking into spirituality and detaching from matter in any of the spiritual paths, say, for that matter, then Maya takes one seriously. Okay, someone is trying to actually escape my fort, someone is trying to escape my jail. And then Maya will send more views, temptations, name, fame, recognition, or inflate the ego as well by practicing yoga asanas, or for that matter, any spiritual process and path like that. Then Maya will test and inflate the ego. The question is, how do we still continue practicing it and not getting sidetracked or not associate more with our body? So this is where regular practice is definitely needed. And regular meaning daily. It's not like once in 3 months or once in a month or once a week. Daily practice is needed, and association of devotees is needed, because it is devotees are our genuine friends who can actually as they say in societal language as well. Okay, a real friend is one when I'm my balloon of ego, or when I'm going to my friend wouldn't mind putting a say needle on it and pressing it down. So devotees are very kind, caring and all, and they would watch out and they would guide us very nicely so that we don't get in this egoistic bubble or any deviate ourselves. So suppose daily good sadhana, daily reflection, introspection, nice devotee association, and taking on higher engagements, taking on some responsibilities, so that we do not too much. Krishna tells Uddhava in the 11th canto that do not become neither too attached nor too detached, and just be attached to loving devotional service. And the more we practice devotional service, the more we should feel that our distance from Krishna is actually mm, is more separating. Is more separating. How far off am I? How far off am I? I would want more. I would want more. So that hankering, that yearning, has to be developed. And once it is developed, we need to protect that hankering and yearning by good prayers, and keeping that focus. So on those lines, by good dedicated daily sadhana and associating with persons who can actually inspire us, guide us, correct us, engage us very nicely and never let us just be over cloud nine. This is why, like, spiritual master, guru means someone who is very strong. So guru can chastise, guru chastises and should chastise, and also which is for the betterment of the disciple. Does that answer? Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention and encouragement. ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराण की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, बुक मैराथन महामहोत्सव की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी।